Hello.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks to you.
We'll just start in just a minute so that to give everyone a chance to join. So we're so thankful that you took the time to be with us today as well. And welcome, everyone. Hello. My name is Rana Salman, and I'm the Palestinian co-director of Combatants for Peace. And we're very glad to have you with us today. Thank you for taking the time to join this webinar. And we'll get started in just a minute to give everyone a chance to join. And while we wait, feel free to settle in. And if you like, let us know in the chat where you are joining us from. And if you can also mute yourself so that we can also hear our speakers better. Today's focus is on settler violence in the West Bank and nonviolent means used to resist the occupation, whether by Palestinians, Israelis, or the international community. We will hear from our speakers about the most recent updates from the field and latest international developments. We have the honor also to welcome Arafat Abu Ras, a Palestinian activist and resident of Assawiya, a village close to Sinjar. Competence for Peace has recently organized a day of solidarity with the farmers of this village. It's north of Ramallah to help them access the land they haven't been able to reach for nearly 3 years because of systematic settler violence and attacks. We will hear from him about the situation there in a minute. I would like to welcome everyone who just joined us also right now. Please take a minute to settle in. We hope that you will find this discussion informative and practical, and we encourage you to share your questions in the chat throughout the session, and we will do our best to address those towards the end of the call during our Q&A. You can see my colleague Benjamin, he has his name as send your questions here. Please feel free to send your questions. And with that, I would like to hand things over to our moderator, Jessica, who will guide us through this today's webinar. Jessica works with asylum seekers and refugees in Switzerland, and she's engaged with Ina Otra Senda, Swiss Friends of Combatants for Peace, and also with our European friends of CFP network. Her interests include decoloniality, systems change, and global justice. And Jessica, over to you.
Thank you very much, Rana, for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here today, and I'm very happy to see so many faces on the screen. I would also like to welcome our listeners to this conversation on this very essential topic amidst especially these very violent times. And it's an honor to be here in the presence of our wonderful speakers who bring so much courage and bravery and engagement for peace. I would like to also thank the speakers for joining and taking their time to share their experience from the ground and what we can learn also about nonviolent resistance in practice in its different shapes. So I would like to start with Arafat Abu Ras, who is a Palestinian activist and resident of Assawiya, a village in the south of Nablus, which is threatened by the Israeli settlement expansion and current settler violence. Arafat comes from a family of farmers and is active on the ground to document settler violence, human rights violations, and who has given lectures about nonviolence resistance in India, Germany, and the UK. So, like a warm welcome to Arafat. Thank you very much for coming. Um, Arafat, I would love to know about your experience as violence and occupation measures have escalated the last 3 years. We heard and by far have seen a lot of very difficult images and learned a lot about the situation. But we would like to know, since the occupation have taken Assawiya and parts of it as a buffer zone, nearby the settlement of Eli. I would love to hear what has happened in the everyday life. How does that shape your everyday life? How does it shape your gaining of livelihood and the villagers of Asawiya? How are you affected by this violence in this moment? I think you need to unmute. Still muted, yes.
Sorry, you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome.
Good evening for everybody. And my name is Arafat Abbas, as you mentioned. And regarding to your questions, we occupied since 1987 and 1948. The occupation started since long time ago. We are going to talk about our daily suffering. Uh, we started to be activist as me as a Palestinian started to be activist because I need to do that. I need to show the people our daily suffering and to show the world that we are here in this land. We born in this land and we stay in this land and we will never leave. Even the and bad circumstances, we are resilient here. We learned the steadfastness in this land. My family are farmers. The majority of the villagers are also farmers here, and many of them also working inside the green land since long time ago, and the other also was working in the BNA as a professional jobs. We are surrounded by settlements, surrounded by Ile settlement, which established in 1984, occupied 7 mountains in my village, and the settlers still continue confiscate more and more lands from my village. My family lost 10 dunams in that mountains, and we lost a lot of lands. We are not able to plow our lands. We are not able to move from where to where. We are restricted in our movement. And I think most of you see in the social media what's going on the ground. Recently, the settlers continuing their attacks. My village have been attacked several times, and it's documented by many social people, and we still alive, alhamdulillah, as we said. Even the attacks and even the murder that settlers did in the West Bank. But as I told you in the beginning, we are staying here in this land. We will never leave our lands because we born here and we will stay here. This is our plans in the coming future. Even the plan of Smotrich, we heard about the plan of Smotrich. He will deport all the Palestinians. He will build the settlements. He will build more and more settlements in the West Bank. Even it's argue with the UN nations, argue with the agreements between Palestinians and Palestinian and Israel. And after Oslo agreements, the areas divided A, B, C, and most of you know about this. I'm talking about my village and villages beside. Recently, there is a house in Jalud village. Listen to me, please. Jalud village, which is now in the social media and published everywhere, spread it everywhere. Jalud Atobasi family, which close to my village, Jalud. They displaced the house. The settlers occupied the house in Chilo, near Chilo settlement, and they started to uh, deport the people and occupied the house. And now, if you can see in the social media, and it's published, they are calling for action from the internationals everywhere in the world. They are calling for actions. They cut the water, they cut the electricity, and they are 4 days now without electricity, without water. Even the owner of the house, very sick, and they didn't give him the medicine to stay alive. This is what's happened. And before 2 weeks ago, the settlers in Sinjar and also the settlers in Deir East Ramallah city killed two Palestinians. I think today the funeral was today. So every day we have killing in the West Bank. Every day we have. In addition to that, we are surrounded by gates. We are not able to move. I don't know if you saw the gates now. The number of the gates in the West Bank is more than 1,000 gates surrounding the West Bank. Each village has a big gate in order to prevent the people to go free from where to where. Our daily suffering continue. My mother have been attacked. My mother now 84. She's a farmer. She has been attacked several times in Rahalim settlement.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Rahalim settlements established in 1994. Just to let you know some history about those settlements, 19 as a military camp. Now, Israel put the hand on this land and started to build Rahalim settlements, which occupied more than 5,000 dunams of the Palestinian resident in Al-Asawiyah. Those settlers came from very, very complicated and background. There is a school, listen, there is a school called Shapira School. Shapira School is in Yitzhahar in Naples, in the mountains of Somartins, in the mountains of Naples, Grizim. Shapira School teaching the Israeli youth, the youth of the hills, teaching them the hatred of Arabs, killing, murder for Arabs, to force the Palestinians to leave their lands, build new caravans, put caravans everywhere. The police give, Israeli police and military give them the green line to put out posts everywhere. So we are surrounded by many caravans and settlements. We are not able to plow our lands. We are not able to pick our olive trees. We all the time calling Israelis peace activists to come and support us, like Combatant for Peace, who came every time to my village and the villages beside, like Sinjil and Turmus Aya and Al Mghayr, between Ramallah and Nablus also. They give a hand to support the Palestinian farmers. Sometimes we succeed and success, and sometimes not. And also the military coordination office, we need to tell them before. If you want to go to your place, you have to get a permission, which is, I don't know why we need to take a permit or permission to get our lands. This is the main reason. And also, peace coalitions came, also encounter peace activists came to my village. I received many people in my village. I started to talk about the situation, and the majority of Israelis now understand what's going on. No, I don't think there is anybody from Israel don't know what's going in the West Bank. It's not acceptable for me to hear that any of the Israelis don't understand what's going on in the West Bank. It's not acceptable for me at all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, because free media, we see everyone. It's not restricted with the media. They publish everything. If you want to publish in the TikTok, in the Telegram, anyone who has those social media can see what's going on the ground. Especially the settlers attacks. We call them, if you know in Hebrew, نوعر هزفعوت. Peace activists call them نوعر هزفعوت. نوعر هزفعوت as نوعر هزفعوت اللي هي youth of health.
Okay.
Extremist people, which are maybe 900 people spread it in the West Bank, from Hebron, Kiryat Arba, from Ofra, from Yitzhar, from Shiloh, and Halim. Those aggressive people, in my opinion, must be stopped.
Thank you so much, Arafat. Thank you for giving us an insight already on the
Mhm.
ground. Due to time, we will come back to further questions, two very short ones, if possible. Could you share a bit how, as you're sharing, people cannot plow their land, they cannot collect olives, they cannot harvest. How do people manage now after 3 years economically? How are the households surviving in this moment?
We didn't get any permission. You can see on the ground, if anybody of you coming, we are most welcome to visit the village and
Yeah.
see nobody after 7th of October plow the lands, nobody pick the olives, and most of the trees dying. We
I'm
cannot,
sorry to
if
hear.
we don't take care of the lands and the trees, they almost die.
How
So
do the people manage economically?
people are restricted, as I told you. It's
Yeah.
very bad economy.
Yeah.
I would like to thank many of my friends, Israeli friends, especially, and internationals who are giving a hand and supported. I had 3 initiatives to support people in my village, and it is also documented. And we made some short videos about that, who are supporting every month with basket food, basic food. We are bringing basic food to the poor families, those who are not able to work, those who have physically handicaps, and those who are not going to the work, and unemployed, they are not working since the war started in 7th of October.
Thank you
So
so much.
we have many initiatives. Listen to that, please. This is a good initiative, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. There is a kind people, especially Israelis, who are still supporting us and giving a hand to make people alive, and we still continue. We have a initiative with Ramat Aviv community.
Mhm.
We have initiative from in the north in Kibbutz Belech.
Mhm.
We have initiative with مستقلين على كيبوش بعينات. What we call this in English, I don't know. مستقلين لكيبوش بعينين. There's
Looking the occupation in the eye.
yeah.
Looking
And
the
they
occupation in the eye.
contact. There is they pay, after we attacked, they brought money to the families to build a fence to protect them from the settlers, and I'm proud of that. We did that. We protected the 3 houses or 4 houses from the settlers attacks after they have been attacked in before 2 months ago, and we built a fence. They collected some money and they donated and to support this family because they were in danger.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you for sharing. I have
yeah,
one more question. Sorry?
every day we suffered. The day we are continuing our day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My last question quickly to you, I will come back to you again after, is
Mm.
at this stage, how you as a nonviolent activist, how do you manage to continue this nonviolent engagement, especially in the surrounding? What are your challenges in nonviolent resistance in this moment?
Our challenges is I don't see things on the ground happening, but we say we continue. We need deeds, not words. We need to stop those aggressive settlers. We need to live in peace. We don't have any weapons to fight. We are innocent people, and we are not weaponed people here. We are very poor village, and we are not able to resist in violence with violence. The best way is to show the people around the world that we are suffering. There is no way for peace. The peace is the way. So nonviolent action need more patience to achieve our goals.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Arafat. Aburas, thank you for sharing. I
Welcome.
will like to continue with Iris. I'll shortly present her and then also go with the questions. Iris is a human rights activist born in Israel, former school principal, and a mother of 3 adult children. She is involved with Combatants for Peace and the Jordan Valley activists, and she carries a lot of experience in protective presence. Welcome, Iris. Thank you so much for coming also tonight. Now, also after you heard what Arafat shared, with the extreme amount of violence, the extreme amount of these violent groups, how do you notice? What is your observation? What is different? What is changing in these attacks in this moment? And how is protective presence changing with that or adapting if it can?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Jessica, and the question. And first of all, I want to say to Arafat that I'm very sorry and ashamed. And I'm very proud to be a part of a group with Arafat and other Palestinian people that are, in my opinion, are very brave just to stay in life. It's brave these days. So as you said, I am a part of Combatants for Peace, and my protective presence is part of the Jordan Valley Activists. It is a group that was established by Combatants for Peace more than 10 years ago. It was the North group of Combatants for Peace, and they started to work with the shepherd, just to. They came in early in the morning, go with the herds and with the shepherd, and protecting them from the settlers and from the soldiers. It was for a long time like this, but then after October 7, things changed like immediately and very like it began very aggressive. It was not as before only against the shepherd, but the violent attack was after the communities, the women, the children, the houses, and it was very immediately and very increased. The violence was like increasing very rapidly and with an amazing level. I don't know how to say it. So I joined the group at November 2023. And since then, since October, we started to do 24/7 shifts with the communities, with also with the children, staying them all the time, trying our best to help with our privilege as Israelis. And since then, it's getting like more and more aggressive. The attack of the violence of the settlers, and I must say it also the soldiers that are sometimes are part of the settlers that are attacking the communities, or just doing on the ground the policy of the government. And I think this is the most important thing to understand. The last, I'm in the north of Jordan Valley, and the last few months there are less violent attacks. And when we started to think, why is it? I think the answer is because they don't need to harass with violence. Just like they are doing some violence, but it's not very hard as before. And that's because they can do something much bigger than that, and that is demolishing the houses
Mhm.
and hurting the water plants. So there will be no water for the people. And this is now the summer with almost 40 degrees. So there are no water for the people, no water for the sheep, no water for the animals. And the last thing that they are doing right now, as while we are talking, when I say they, it's the government, the police, the army. It's a government policy. It's a plan. It's not something that someone decided that I will do something like this. No, it's a plan. It's a full plan. And while we are talking now, there is a project in Hebrew. The name is Chut Hashani. If I will translate it, it's like scald stream. Doesn't matter the name, but it's 22 kilometer of some of it it's a fence, some of it it's like digging a long hole in the ground. Some of it it's like putting like a little um, um, okay, never mind. It's like prevent people and animals to go from the east side of from the Jordan Valley to the west side, to the West Bank. What is 22 kilometers between what Yasir checkpoint and Hamra checkpoint, and it will cut off all the communities, all the shepherd communities, all the agricultural communities from the cities like Tubas, Tamun, even Jenin. It will cut off people from their land, so they will cannot go with the herds. There are no more opportunities to go with the herds. If I will say in one word what is going on, this is ethnic cleansing. And this is not because of safety for the Jewish people. This is not because of lack of water. This is not because of lack of area. There is enough for everyone. The only thing, the only reason that this government is doing is to have more land with less Palestinians, to clean the area. And for me, as a Jewish, it's I don't want to use it the word, but for me, as a Jewish, the only thing that I can think about it is what I knew that was done to my people not long ago, to clean an area, to clean a territory from people. This is ethnic cleansing. And the only way to stop it is the international community. The only way to do it, because when I'm speaking about Farsiya, which is the community that I know, when Arafat is speaking about his village, Isawiya, it's like a zoom in for examples. But this is going on all over the Jordan Valley, all over the West Bank, and it will not stop. It will not stop with area C or B. It will not stop. This is a huge plan of ethnic cleansing, closing the Palestinian people in some cities without, as Arafat told you, without the opportunity to have food, water, any option of working. And this is like choking them. So they will need to go away, or I don't know what will happen next. And the only way to stop it is to demand from the international community to stop give Israel money, to stop deal with Israel, to stop buy weapons from Israel, to stop to make sanctions on the Israeli government, on the settlers, and this is the only way. Thank you for this opportunity to share my really heavy heart, and will be happy to, happy is not the word, but yeah, happy to answer whatever question do you have.
Thank you very much, Iris. Thank you very much for sharing, and thank you for giving us insight also to better understand what this extreme and continuous development of violence, how it is happening with the demolitions and now with the control of water and separation, continued separation physical of people. I'm curious, what is the difference today to have Israelis on the team of protective presence?
It's getting very difficult because people are scared to come. It's also very difficult because it's very hot now. It's almost 40 degrees. So first of all, it's hard physically, but there are a lot of people that are they are afraid to come because now settlers and soldiers, they are not still they're not killing Israelis activists, but yes, they can harm. And from some of the people was harmed very hard, went to hospital, and so people are afraid to come.
Mhm.
But I think it's important. I think it's very important to come for at least for the feeling,
Mhm.
even if we cannot do something. But first of all, we take evidence, we film, we share all over, or we are going to court, helping people with whatever we can. And also, I think this feeling of you're not alone, we are with you. And for us, I think it's more important. It's the feel that uh, I did not like take my head away. Um I was and I am with you. I will not go away. I will still with you, like at least with my heart, or with my money, or with my present. I will not go away. I will not shut up
Mhm.
when those horrible things are be done.
Mhm. Thank you. And do you feel there's a difference now in which passport people bring to do the work in protective presence? Does the international community still is able to the work? Is it more Israeli passport holders, or where do you feel?
Yeah, there are also international activists,
Hmm.
and they are doing the protective presence with the Israelis, like
Hmm.
sharing the communities and talking every day, like who will be where and like. So it's, I think, yeah, it's important also for internationals to come. Still, I know it's not safe. They could be hurt, and but they could be also just expelled from the country. So what? Um, an Israeli passport is still more safe than international passport, but there are international activists, and I think they are very brave.
Thank you so much. Last few questions to you is where do you where how do you what can you share about your work in nonviolence while being voluntarily exposed to so much violence? That is one question. Second question, how do you manage to keep your team safe as well?
Um, First of all, we are not going alone. We are
Mhm.
always like at least two people together.
Mhm.
Um, some of us, I must say that when I'm going there, I have like a gas pepper.
Mhm.
Never used it.
Mhm.
Um, I think the only weapon that we have is the camera.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think we have an opportunity to use violence because it will bring nothing. So it's the only way. And I think I'm learning from the Palestinian people because they have something that I don't know from my culture, I must say, which is the sumud, which
Mhm.
is the way they are very like stubborn and very strong, and they feel very connected to the land. Uh, I'm connected too, but I'm not sure that I'm like strong like them to stay, even when people are taking my food, my water, and destroying my house, and I will still stay there. So I'm learning from them, and they are not using any violence.
Thank you so
So
much.
if they can do it, who am I to do something else?
Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you, Iris. Um, I would love to go to the next speaker, to Michael Schaffer Omerman, who is the director of Israel-Palestine program at Democracy for the Arab World Now. He previously lived in Israel-Palestine for nearly 20 years, where he works as a journalist, including as the editor-in-chief of the Plus 972 magazine. He recently co-authored From Apartheid to Democracy, a blueprint for peace in Israel-Palestine, and which was published in 2025 by UC Press. Very warm welcome, Michael. Thank you very much for joining. You worked as a journalist for a decade in Israel-Palestine and have closely observed Israeli and Palestinian grassroots movements and engaged in resistance to the occupation. I was curious, do you observe any evolution in the mobilization of anti-occupation movements in the Israeli public? What is your opinion on this?
I mean, first of all, thank you, and thanks to the other speakers. It's in the period that I was involved, both in observing and participating, a lot changed. We were talking about the sort of around 2009, 2010, most of the activism was around the new wall, which was being erected, and specific struggles in specific villages, trying to get land back, some of which were somewhat successful. And in those, there was a small but dedicated Israeli participation. But I think the main sort of approach of this mainstream Jewish Israeli society didn't involve them, even if they knew what was going on, even if it happened on the news, and that has a lot of people have tried to change that over the years, and certainly the Israeli media coverage has shown more and more, particularly of settler violence in the West Bank. But I think for most people, it's still something that it's not their problem. It doesn't affect them. And if anything, the credence of this so-called security justifications for a lot of this violence, whether it's by settlers or by soldiers, has gained more support since October 7th.
Thank you so much. I'm curious, you've been working on sanctions. Maybe for those who have not heard yet, would you be willing to give a little update on the sanctions, and also what's your experience with this? Yeah.
So, initially as a journalist, I've been speaking to diplomats and others in Europe and the United States for close to 20 years. And the question of sanctions and settler sanctions in particular, whether it be travel bans or something more serious, has been there the whole time. And nothing happened on it until February 2024, when President Biden issued an executive order creating a sanctions program for violent settlers in the West Bank. This was really sort of difficult to wrap your head around at the time, because it came at the midst of the genocide in Gaza, and I think most analyses and now statements from former officials corroborate that this was a way to sort of release pressure from the U.S. involvement in the Gaza war by pushing back on an issue that was a little bit more acceptable in the mainstream. Of course, as soon as the United States started putting sanctions on Israeli settlers, and I'll get into what that meant in a second, but European countries, Canada, Australia, and some others joined and issued their own sanctions, usually mirroring exactly what the United States had done. And there was momentum building. While they were really targeting only a few bad actors on a few hilltops, it did break the taboo that was completely unbroken until that point of any accountability for Israeli actions vis-a-vis Palestinians. It was the first time there was any sanctions programs that targeted Israelis for their actions against Palestinians. We had seen some for human rights violations in Africa, and it did progress to an extent. Myself and others were trying to push these governments to move from focusing on individuals to more systemic actors, and they did that to some extent, sanctioning groups like Amana and Daniela Weiss's organization, and some others. But really, I think the limitations of the settler sanctions were quite evident almost immediately they appeared, which is that if you don't address the systemic aspects of the violence, of the ethnic cleansing, of the occupation, of apartheid, then you're not going to really have any sort of meaningful effect. And so to that extent, there's folks looking at financial involvement today. There's the entire question of the settlement trade and how that affects Israeli relationship with the EU. But again, to emphasize, the settler violence is abhorrent. It's scary. It's terrifying. It's uprooting and destroying thousands of lives. But it is nothing in comparison to the violence and displacement that the Israeli state carries out in its own name. While a few thousand Palestinians have been forcibly displaced in the West Bank by settler violence since October 7th, 2023, we're talking upwards of 40,000 that the Israeli army has displaced in the West Bank, in Jenin and Tulkarem, and other areas, particularly in the north. And I this my message to the world is that it is great that the world is starting to take this seriously and to think about what punitive consequences it can create to change Israeli policy and behavior. But until it acknowledges and recognizes that as Iris was saying, that the Israeli state is actually directing this project, including the majority of these violent settlers. Over the past few weeks, we've seen numerous statements from the Avi Bluth, the Israeli military commander in charge of the West Bank, talking about how the settlement outposts, most of them were created with the support of the Israeli military, and that they serve Israeli security interests. And that is really the place where the international community has yet to stand up, and where any meaningful pressure would come from.
Thank you so much. Why do you think now the sanctions were adopted? What do you feel has led to this momentum in this moment? And what do you feel are the obstacles in implementation of policies in this way?
Well, as I mentioned, the timing was, I think, entirely to do with Gaza. And while there was certainly a corresponding spike in the severity and scope of settler violence in the West Bank at the same time, in the shadow of the genocide, they were looking for a way to show that they weren't afraid to say no to Israel about something. While they were sending an unlimited supply of bombs, while they were blocking UN resolutions. And as I mentioned, this was a sort of place that the international community has always been comfortable in pushing back a little bit on settlements and settler violence, because they can pretend like it's not the state itself, and therefore not extend the same consequences and sanctions. Since President Trump revoked the United States sanctions on day one of his term, European sanctions, along with a few other countries, have remained in place, and the EU, in fact, just issued more. They're starting to look at groups and not just individuals, which is meaningful. And the strategy of sanctions is usually escalatory, because it's designed to change behavior, not as a pure accountability measure. So in that sense, it's encouraging that more and more countries and international bodies are willing to use sanctions and coercive diplomacy and other measures to address what's going on. But it's still limited to settler violence, which is in their mind civilian violence. And as both of the previous speakers alluded to, especially in the past 3 years, the distinction between settler violence and state violence has become increasingly hard to identify, both because the army is supporting the settlers in many ways, and because many of the most violent settlers were effectively deputized through regional defense reserve units, and given uniforms and guns, and carry out a lot of that violence and the displacement and intimidation in uniform. So the sanctions, if they move to institutional actors, whether it's the financial aspects, whether it's the Israeli state planning aspects, or the Israeli military involvement in all of this, even if they don't raise their demands to the level of ending the occupation and the apartheid regimes, there's still more potential to create meaningful pressure, and of course to sort of pave one step further in the path toward the type of change that I think most of us are hoping to see.
Thank you very much. I'm curious, We have obviously a lot of questions and limited time, but I'm curious, you as a journalist, how your experience was the last few years, and what were, number one, your biggest challenges as a journalist and working in the United States, if I understand correctly? What were your biggest challenges working? And the second question, where do you see the untapped potential right now in this moment for resistance, for sanctions, for nonviolence resistance, and for resistance against the occupation? That's my last question. Thanks.
The first question is kind of short. When I was a journalist in Palestine, the dangers were real and occurred on many points. It was being assaulted by settlers. It was being assaulted by the Israeli military and police. In the past few years, I've been in the United States since 2022, and the challenge is getting people to understand the systemic nature of what's going on, and to get into the second question, to segue into that. The biggest hope for me right now is that public opinion in the United States and around the world has shifted so dramatically over the past three years in support of Palestinian rights, in support of Palestinian liberation, and demanding concrete actions by their governments that, as somebody who believes in democracy, at least as an idea and an ideal, that kind of pressure, that kind of belief, those kinds of values have to trickle up into policy eventually. The United States is obviously the linchpin of the international community's support for Israel, and until that changes, I really can't imagine international movement reaching the critical mass that it would need to be in order to change Israeli policy. And in my book, we outline what could happen the next day if we reach that moment. But really, it's if you look at the United States alone, we have dozens of candidates who are running while pledging not to take money from AIPAC. That would have been unthinkable a few years ago. We have 100 Democratic Congresspeople who voted to cut off military aid to Israel last week. There is movement, and the challenge is going to be translating that movement and the public pressure, the moral pressure to act into something that's actually effective. And I say this a little bit painfully as somebody who worked on promoting the settler sanctions, but until we move past this bad actor mentality that it's Netanyahu's problem, or it's the problem, or it's the violent settlers on the hilltop problem, then nothing is going to change. And really addressing that systemic nature is I think beginning to get more traction, particularly in Europe, but also among many politicians in the United States.
Thank you very much for sharing your insights with us. Thank you very much. I would love to go back to Arafat. I would like to, before we go into the public questions, Arafat, I'm very curious to hear what do you feel after you've shared the dreadful violence also, and I'm very sorry to hear of your family and the land and the economic hardship, and especially I know Tubas, and it's a very beautiful environment, and it's very heartbreaking to hear. I'm curious, what do you feel do you need from the international community? What do you need from the Israeli communities? And where can you share about your definition of Samud in this moment? And you're muted. Sorry. Thank you.
Hear me now?
Yes, I can hear
Yes. What we need is to mobilize. First of all, I'm happy that you are coming and listen to my speech in the beginning about our daily suffering. And hopefully you can come to visit to see on the ground what's going on. You are mostly welcome if you have possibility. That will make sense more for the Palestinians if you are coming and see things on the ground. And I highly appreciate what the Israelis like Combatant for Peace and Areas group from different areas in the Jordan Valley. We highly appreciate that supporting people to stay alive to protect them, to facilitate their lives. And hopefully we can do more and more to keep people alive, especially in my village, and stop those aggressive settlers to continue murdering the people and attacking the houses and displace the Bedouin communities everywhere, and to stop the deportation policy which is Smotrich announced. We still alive, but we need is to from the internationals and from the Israelis to give awareness more and more about our daily suffering, and to make pressure for the government to stop those aggressive settlers. Some of the speakers, Michael, reminded Avi Ballout. You know Avi Ballout. His background is extremist party. He is a settler. I can consider him as a settler, and he is giving because he is the responsible for the area military group. He is, we call him that he is controlling the West Bank and giving the orders, the high level of orders, and he is giving the green lines, and it is documented, giving the green lines for the settlers to occupy more and more lands and allow them to attack the Palestinians and steal the sheep, steal the houses, Palestinian houses everywhere. And there is no punishment, there is no justice, and nobody can ask them. The settlers do whatever they want. What we need now in this critical stage is to stop the violence of the settlers, to mobilize more and more people, to make awareness for everybody in the world to see what's going on the ground, and to make pressure for their governments everywhere. The political situation in Palestine is very hard. The situation is going harder and harder every day. People are dying. People are suffering. We need to make action, a real action, to stop those extremist settlers, to continue their plans, to stop the ethnic cleansing, to stop the deportation of the people. You know, the Bedouins community now in the Jordan Valley, now only 20%, those who are still on their places. Many of them displaced to another areas, and they forced to leave their lands, to leave their places, even though they were since long time ago, and they were living in peace, and they not attacking. They didn't get any attacks in the past. After 7th of October, the policy of Israel changed 100%. Can say that they want to build settlements, they want displaced people, they want to kill people. As I told you, what they are teaching the people in the school of Shapira. Remember that school in Yitzhar. I don't know if many of you, because are internationals who are not living here. We need international protection. Even though also we need international peacekeeping force. You know what I mean? International peacekeeping force to observe the settlers' attacks and violations of the law. This is the responsibility for the international community now. The world must know that we are resist to exist, not to kill. We resist to exist here in this land. So what we need now, the vital thing is to support the people, to keep them alive. Please don't hesitate to support the poor families, to support the sick people who are not able to get basic things to get a medicine. So please do that. You are invited again to visit my village, to see anybody. I ask Rana if anybody interested to see the area to come. You are mostly welcome in my house. You will be my host in my house. I can host you all. You are welcome, and we can arrange you a tour or to walk around and see things on the ground. We are not lying. This is the truth. Believe me, this is the truth. What's going on? And those who are sharing with many actions like Iris and combatant for peace saw everything and they documented everything. What we need now, please, real steps. Please go step forward. We need deeds, not words. Please come to support and help and make the people happy to live in peace. This is our request. We are not going to remove Israel, to hate people, to hate Jews. We need for coexistence. We need to get our rights back. We need to live in the Palestinian independent state, 67 borders, side by side to Israel. And anyone who argue with this, he is not a human being. He is looking for violence. We need justice and equality between people. We want to live in our dignity here in this land. Thank you so much. That's what I cannot continue because no need to continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arafat. I would like to give everyone a short moment to just to sit with Arafat's apply for the international community to help for people to resist, for actions to happen right now. And we can also sit just with this for a little moment, if that's okay with everyone. Thank you very much, Arafat. Thank you very much for everything you're sharing. Thank you very much for your tireless work for nonviolence and for resisting this illegal occupation. I hope your family will always be safe and there will be a lot of change, hopefully, and the end of the occupation. I would love to open up the floor for people to ask questions from the audience. We have about 10 minutes time now for the audience questions, which Benjamin has, I think, moderated or has has received. Okay. Yes. So we'll move over to the questions of the audience, to the Q&A, and thank you very much, Arafat, again for being here with us and for all your work. And maybe some of you will join and visit him in his house and hopefully see what is happening. More though that it will not be necessary. Thank you so much. Okay, so Benjamin, have you? Yeah, I'll give the word to you.
Yeah. So we have a lot of questions. The first one would be for Iris, and maybe Michael also could answer it. In regards to the ethnic cleansing policy, will it matter who is elected in Israel in October?
Michael, do you want to answer?
Sure.
Different opinions. There are different opinions about it.
Yes and no. If there's an entirely different government that does not include Netanyahu and Smotrich and Ben Gvir and their parties, then it will probably look a little different. But nobody's going to roll back what's been done, and nobody's going to take on the settlements as a project and try and reverse course. In fact, there's almost nobody in Israeli politics who has the chance of winning more than a few votes. Certainly outside of the non-Zionist parties, who has presented any vision for anything different vis-a-vis the Palestinians, specifically in the West Bank, but including in Gaza. There's just no other alternative vision. And until that is presented to people, then I don't think we can even blame most Israelis for not considering it. we can. But yeah, it's the differences are they're nuanced. It's not diametrically different. So they may rein in the most violent. They may reinstitute the undemocratic practice of administrative detention against Israeli Jewish settlers, which they stopped doing under the current government. But the overall problems in practice will stay in place.
Iris, do you have any thoughts about the elections?
Yeah, I must say that I'm not very optimistic. The reason is that, as Michal said, I don't think there is a big difference between Netanyahu regarding what is going on in the West Bank. There are no big difference between Netanyahu, Smotrich, Ben-Gvir, and Lieberman, Bennett, and Yair Lapid, and even the new one. I forgot now the name.
Eisenkot.
Eisenkot, thank you. And also, what is very troubling is that, as we said before, the leaders in the army and the police and everything is controlling by people from the Messiah Zionism party or with the same ideology. And I think it will be very hard to change things on the ground. It will take time. And I don't think that there is time because Arafat told you people are dying. Like right now, people are dying without water, without food, without any work, without the opportunity to move from one place to another. So people are dying. Think about ambulance that needs to come from one place to another, and there are more than thousands of borders of closed roads. So yes, that this is the reality. It's not something that we are speaking about someday will happen. No, this is what is going on the ground now. So when Arafat is telling you we need help now, he's not exaggerating. Like really, the international community must wake up. People are dying. Children are dying. There are children in the military in Israeli jails now, suffering. So it's not like something we are talking something will happen or nice to say. No, it's like really a matter of life and death right now. I really didn't think that the community that I know in the north of Jordan Valley will stay this one more summer. And yes, there are very few, as Arafat said, there are very few families there, but there are children there, there are elder people there, they are still alive, they still have homes. And I'm not sure how long they will take it, and I'm not sure that even until October for the election, and I'm not sure that even the election will help them. We have a phrase in the Jewish, as we said, when you help one person, when you save one person, you save the whole world. So yes, there are few persons, there are few souls that need to be saved, and we must do it.
Thank you. Arafat, someone asked, will there be any chance in your area or other parts of the West Bank that you know about to harvest olive trees this year in October, November, or is it unrealistic? You just have to unmute yourself.
You hear now?
Yes.
Usually, we are in October. We are picking our olives in October, between 15 and 20 of October. And you are invited to come and help. Hopefully, hopefully we can get a permit from the settlers, from the military office, coordination of the military. We need to make pressure to the MATAC. You know what the MATAC? Coordination office between Palestinians and Israelis after the Oslo agreement. It's called a MATAC. Misrad Kishur Vitium in Hebrew. We can say coordination military office to allow the farmers to get there. Sometimes they are giving 2 days or 3 days in each area. So we are waiting from them to get a permission. If we don't get a permit, that we will never pick our olives. So it depends on the political situation. First of all, it depends on the military and the settlers who influence to the military to stop picking olives. Sometimes the settlers didn't allow people to come. They attacking the farmers every time. And because that we are inviting combatants for peace. We are inviting many peace organizations to come and help. And we still have time for October. We are waiting for the results. Hopefully, we can get our lands free and pick our olives, which is the important things for our economy. We are selling olive oil. We are selling because we depend in our economy for olive trees. So we are waiting. Hopefully we can get the permits. But anybody coming before October, he is mostly welcome to come. We can go to Naples, to Ramallah to see before the picking olives. You are also invited to come and see before you start to pick. Even it is dangerous for you, by the way. It is sometimes I don't want to make you worry, and because many peace activists have been attacked by settlers. So sometimes it's dangerous for internationals even. So take this in your mind because the settlers are very aggressive and they are attacking everyone. Even Jews have been attacked in many areas who are helping the Palestinians to pick their olives.
Thank you. And my colleague Nicole also put in the chat information about olive harvest because Combatants for Peace is part of a coalition that will bring activists from Israel, Palestine, and internationals as well to support Palestinian communities in the olive harvest in October and November. So you have information in the chat about that. And I think we have time for one last question. And this one is for Michael. Regarding sanctions, so there's a question from someone from Europe, I guess from the Netherlands, because the Netherlands just announced new sanctions today. What can people from the civil societies abroad do to see that settlers are stopped? I'm from Europe, and German resistance cannot get sanctions European-wide because of the veto at the European Union. So what can people do on an individual level?
There's lots of different things being discussed in Europe right now, from a ban on settlement trade to, less likely because of the veto that Germany and others hold, revisiting the association agreement, the free trade agreement entirely. But the individual countries can take actions, and the only way to make that happen is to keep taking the streets and to keep raising your voice and to keep making sure that the politicians who speak for you, who set the foreign policies that your countries follow and direct where their money goes, hear what you as their constituents want them to do and what your values are and how that plays out with regards to Palestine. Unfortunately, if there was something easy for regular people to do, we could have ended this a long time ago. And of course, the urgency is there. As Iris said, we have to do something now. But the momentum is there. And, more people have taken to the streets demanding an end to violence and justice for Palestinians than I've ever seen in my lifetime. And we need to build on that momentum and ensure that the next generation of politicians in this world, in the United States, in Europe, wherever, reflect those values.
Thank you very much. I would also like to say thank you very much for everyone joining tonight. It is not evident also for Arafat. You're here tonight sharing about your own family, about your own village, about your own mother, about your own livelihood. It's a very different situation for you than everyone in this space here. And I'd like to acknowledge your bravery and how hard that also must be, as I'm sure it's not the first time you're speaking about this topic. And the change sometimes seems also very slow. So I just want to say another full-hearted thank you very much for coming here and for taking your courage to share and explain, and for your plea. I'd like to say thank you very much for CFP for inviting me to moderate this event. Thank you very much also to Iris. Thank you very much for Michael for sharing your expertise, your knowledge, your opinions, and for your tireless effort to nonviolent resistance and your deep commitment also to this work and to resisting the occupation. May all your families and everyone here involved be protected and safe, and especially you on the ground, be safe at all times. And in this dangerous work also that you're doing, Iris. And may we all be able to mobilize on a grand scale, how you shared. May we able to be put pressure on our governments and end the support of our governments in this violence and end the illegal occupation. So thank you everyone for being here tonight, and thank you for investing this time of learning and connecting and being able to mobilize more for this topic. So I hand the word back to Rana, and thank you very much.
Rana?
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Benjamin, and to everyone behind the scenes who organized this webinar. And thanks to our speakers for sharing your experiences, testimonies, and feelings in this space. It's very important not just to hear about the realities of displacement and settler violence, but also the sumud of these communities that are affected, especially in Sawiya, Mughayr, Sinjal, and everywhere else in the West Bank. And as Arafat mentioned, there are more restrictions on the movement in the West Bank. There are about 917 checkpoints in the West Bank alone, and 244 of these gates were just established after October 7th, making it very difficult to move even between villages and communities, disconnecting the communities within the West Bank. And as Iris mentioned, it's became part of life and death. Just yesterday, for example, in Sinjal, a young Palestinian woman, a mother of two, was killed at a checkpoint. There were no bullets fired at her, but the Israeli army didn't allow the checkpoint to be open for the ambulance to pass through because of her medical emergency, and she couldn't make it, and she died at the checkpoint. And also thanks to Michael for also sharing about what the international community can do and the pressure and the need for dignity and protection and accountability. Thank you everyone also for joining this discussion. I hope you can also support our summer campaign to help us sustain our joint work. We will also share it in this in the chat, and we will be also doing so many things along this summer. One of them is rebuilding a greenhouse in the village of Bardala after it was also demolished by settlers. And we will also work on investing in strengthening the joint Palestinian-Israeli women's groups. You can also join us for our upcoming Collective Ed webinars that will focus on the women nonviolent activism. We will soon announce the dates for that webinar, and we will send you our sign-up form. I just want to say again, thanks to our speakers. Thank you, Arafat, Michael, Iris, and to our amazing moderator, Jessica, and to everyone for joining and engaging in this discussion tonight. So we will be in touch soon for our next webinar. I hope you have a good evening, a good day, and we will be in touch soon. Thank you all.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, everyone.